You're listening to Inside IASB, a podcast series dedicated to informing and encouraging Illinois school board members. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Isaac Warren. I'm the Assistant Director of Digital Communications at the Illinois Association of School Boards, and I'm here today with Governmental Relations Staff Mary Ellen Buch, and I'm here with Shawn Killackey. And today we're going to be talking about the recent COSSBA Advocacy Conference and some key takeaways from that. So first and foremost, Shawn, since you're our guest, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about who you are and what you do, I think that would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Isaac. I've been a board member since 2017, so I'm on my second term right now. And I'm at Fremont District 79 up in Lake County is my school district. I'm currently the board secretary. Also, I'm the district rep for CEDAW, which is a special ed district for Lake County, and also the delegate for the III for my district.
Awesome. Thank you, Shawn. So was this the first COSSBA Advocacy Conference, or was there one before this one?
We were the guinea pigs, yeah.
All right. So let's start with Shawn. Going into this, what were your expectations, or what were you hoping to get out of it first and foremost?
Technically, I really didn't know. I just thought it'd be very exciting to do this. Recently, I've been getting into more advocacy for my district and stuff, doing things. And that's how actually I met Mary Ellen through the governmental relations at IASB. And I just wanted to try and do more. I just felt that as a board member and an elected official, I could do not just stuff for my district, but for others. And when I heard about this, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to go to D.C. and do something.
Yeah, awesome. Mary Ellen, same question. What were you hoping to, or what were your expectations going into this? I know as a first-time attendee to the brand new conference, it's kind of hard to kind of get an idea of what to expect, but what were you hoping to get out of it?
Right. So thanks, Isaac. I had worked with previous coworkers who had gone to the federal advocacy when we were with NSBA, but this was the first COSSBA conference. So I was excited. I think there's so much advocacy that our members can do and already do. So this just seemed like a fantastic opportunity to put them on a large scale, to meet with their congresspeople and see what it's like in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. What was the crowd like? Because how many people do you think attended?
This officially, according to Kimberly Small's report here, 15 school board members from 10 Illinois school districts.
Wow.
We're all, and did you have more, Mary Ellen, on all?
I don't specifically to our state, but I believe they closed the conference to registration at 2:15 maybe. And those were from states across the country. I don't have off the top of my head how many actual states were involved in that, but it was a big group. It was a very diverse and interesting group.
I mean, yeah, for a first time conference, it sounds like a really good turnout, especially for federal advocacy.
Yeah.
Shawn, what sessions did you attend, and did you have a favorite one?
So our first day there, our first full day, it was basically it was training us, the board members, to how to get ready to what we're going to be doing the following day at Capitol Hill, actually talking to the senators and reps and stuff. So we were in this huge room with all of us in there, all the states and stuff. And so we had different sessions with the first one was with staffers. They had staffers from the different legislators came in and were just talking to us on what they do. And I never knew what staffers did. So it was kind of neat listening to them.
Yeah.
We had lobbyists that came in, talked to us, and were just giving us how to talk to a representative, how to that you'd probably want to give a lot of info to staffers because of they pretty much have the ear of legislators and stuff. Then there was a session with Representative Aaron Bean from Florida. He came in and talked with us. Actually gave us what to say at the beginning of a meeting, which I still use now to this day. It's you go in and you want to talk about an issue, but you don't want to make them sound like you're trying to teach them something. So you just say, as you know, and then you go on to it. And then you're saying, yeah. So even if they don't, you're kind of implying, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Interesting.
Yeah. When it gets me in trouble is when I use it with my wife, as you know.
Yeah, be careful there.
So he was there and he talked with us and stuff. And then, the district assistant to the Secretary of Education, Lauren Mendoza came in and she talked with us. And what was great is that the federal level, they're dealing with the same thing we are at the local level. She was talking about dealing with teacher shortages and the mental health of kids after the pandemic and bilingual education and such. So it was great listening to her too.
Wow, that sounds like a really wide diversity of things are offered.
Yeah, and it was a busy day. It went from early morning right to dinner time of doing that, one right after another.
Nice. I'm assuming there was a bit of downtime, at least, hopefully, in between some sessions. Were you able to do some networking with fellow board members?
Yeah, no, it was great because there were so many board members, and I was the only one from my board, and so I didn't know anybody there. And so you start to meet other board members and you find out they have the same issues at their schools, or they'll have something you haven't even thought about. There were two board members from Highland Park District 112, Lisa and Melissa, that I hung out with a lot during, got to talk to them. And, they're talking about how, about the Highland Park shooting a few years ago at their 4th of July parade. They had to totally change their school for like the little boy that ended up becoming paralyzed because of the shooting. And he went to the school and every time they told me about it, I started cheering up and stuff, but they had to totally revamp their school for him and stuff. And so issues that you wouldn't think about, unless something like that happens in your district.
For sure. Yeah. And it sounds like that was a really good opportunity to be able to have those experiences and share those kinds of discussions, especially when things that might affect federal advocacy can really hit close to home when you have something like that happen in your own district. And feeling that's you're making a good change, not just for your own district, but for the nation as a whole. That's pretty impactful.
Yeah, definitely. And I got to meet a lot of different board members that we still text and email now just to shoot back ideas back and forth. So it was a great opportunity to meet other board members.
That's great that there's some ongoing communication too. That's really good to hear. Mary Ellen, from the IASB perspective, as someone who's a part of IASB, what was the networking like for you? Were you able to also talk with board members? Did you talk with other association leaders?
So my networking with board members was pretty much with our delegation, the people that we went out there with. And that was fantastic, to get to know what their districts are like and what their needs are and how we can help them and even how they can help us. Another item that was really interesting for me is that because this was a national conference, there were other school board lobbyists out there. And we have a very informal, almost like a listserv between us that we can shoot questions out to each other, but we had never met. And so we did set up just a quick meet, and that group actually has a conference coming up where we can all get together again as lobbyists. Obviously, some of the items of interest or in the capitals are different between states, but it's amazing how many are similar. So that was a fantastic networking opportunity. And the dinner that Shawn mentioned, we took everybody from Illinois out to a dinner, and it was nice to sit down and relax and get to know people, instead of sitting in a classroom setting, just really kind of dig in and get to know them and hopefully continue to know them. So I know I saw several of them at our joint annual conference later, and, it's nice to meet up again.
Yeah, that's really cool to keep those connections going outside of like just the boardroom, or, I mean, as great as AAA is, meeting people again outside of just AAA is also a lot of fun. I'm sure from the staff perspective as well. What were you surprised the most about what you learned? I'll kick this back over to Shawn. Was there anything that's just really stood out that you're like, I maybe just never thought about that like that, or anything that just really struck you?
I think that what really struck me is because I went there, I guess, with the image of, I don't want to say the word sacred, but it's like that Capitol Hill is kind of like a sacred place. And, and oh my God, am I going to be able to go up there, and how it was going to be? And especially after January 6th, I didn't know how everything was going to be.
Sure.
But when we got there, I just was kind of surprised about how open it all was. We went to some of the Senate buildings to first talk to our Senator Duckworth in Durban, and just coming in, of course, there's metal detectors and everything there, but when you're going in, it's all open. And we had some time to kill because I got there a little bit earlier before we had to meet with Senator Duckworth. And so I figured, I'm just going to go scout this out. I'm in a Senate building. This is kind of cool. So I'm walking around in my suit, and I had my attaché case and stuff, and I'm walking past like Mitt Romney's office. And the doors are all open, and you're looking in, and there's the staffers just sitting there. And I just waved to them. They're going, "Hey, how are you doing?" I go, "Good. You've been good?" Like, yeah. And it was just walking around and fitting in there. It was really incredible.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And it was just neat to see. And I'm a historian myself, so just to see the old buildings, the Senate building still has all the old architecture and such. And but it was, I think that was the thing that surprised me the most, is that it was just so open for us to just come in, and, we're elected officials too, just like them. And it was no big deal.
I would echo that so much, even in the planning and the scheduling, to get, everybody to their legislator and everybody to the senators. It was fun scheduling all of those, and, making changes when one thing would change, they all had to change. But every staffer that I spoke to was so kind, and it wasn't as if we were bothering them. They were there to help us. And you really got a sense of that. Like Shawn said, we were walking among people that you see on C-SPAN. So it was kind of cool to walk where they walk, and to know that they're just like us. They have personalities, and they're funny, and they're, silly. And each office, I believe, had like certain snacks from their state. So we would walk in and have some popcorn, have some whatever it was, and very open and easy to talk to.
Yeah, that is so cool to hear. It's like, it's easy to kind of put people you see on TV on a pedestal and like make them larger than life. Like, oh my gosh, I could never like a celebrity status. And suddenly you're walking around their place of business like, hey, you got any Kit Kats in here? It's suddenly like that barrier is like, whoa, what happened? It's humanizing almost. It's humanizing our leaders in government.
Yeah. And I kind of learned that when about 2 decades ago, I was a manager at Hard Rock Cafe. Mm-hmm. You always had singers coming in and stuff, celebrities and everything. And I just realized they don't want to be treated different and stuff. So I would just talk to them normally and stuff. And they're just like you and me.
Yeah. And it sounds like the advocacy conference, just having it in Washington, D.C. does kind of help maybe reduce that stigma of these people are unapproachable. I can't talk to my legislators or the folks representing me in Congress. It sounds like it's like that. It's an easier way to step up to realizing that these are just normal people like me doing their job. And we're all, like you said earlier, we're all elected officials doing our part, and to kind of feel like you're more part of the federal part than just the Illinois part. I think that sounds really awesome. Cool. Was there anything that happened at the conference that made you feel like I could make actual impact federally, and not just, just in my district or just in my state? Was there anything that made you like feel really invigorated to commit to like federal advocacy?
Yeah. I actually had a personal experience myself there. Because it was funny where we were walking around, and I was talking to Director Kimberly Small, and as we're walking from building to building, and I was like, the theme actually started to be, are we just preaching to the choir? Because we were going to, of course, both of our senators here in Illinois are Democrats, and the representative that I was going to for my district, Brad Schneider, a Democrat. So they already believed everything that I was coming to present to them. They were already signed on to this. So I felt like, are we going to make a difference, at all? And so my last meeting was with Representative Schneider. And the big idea that all of us were trying to get across were to get the IDEA fully funded act. And so I noticed the night before in my hotel room, as I'm going through all the stuff, that Mr. Schneider's name wasn't on the list there at all. And so when we're in his office talking with him, instead of doing my regular spiel that I did for Senator Duckworth and Durbin, I decided to ask him, I said, I noticed that your name wasn't on there as a sponsor. And he was like shocked. He was like, no, it should be on there. I said, I'm totally for this, and told the staffers had it on there. I found out 2 days later, his name is on the list.
Wow.
So it was like, wow, I did make an impact. If I hadn't gone, that wouldn't have happened. So that made me feel good, because the whole time I'm just wondering, God, am I really even making a difference by coming here? Or am I just coming as another tourist to DC,
Yeah, that's definitely one of the most direct examples. Like, that's really, really cool.
Yeah. We had several legislators or congressmen that happened to. Different board members would ask them about IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Act, and they were, appreciated the interest that our members had and understand where they were coming from. So they very much listened and took what we said.
Yeah, it just goes to show the importance of being front and vocal about your positions and making sure the people representing you are representing you and your area. And it's kind of like a due diligence saying, like, you're like kind of like their boss, like tapping them on the shoulder, like, hey, you signed this bill, right? Or are you on this bill? It's just making sure. It's kind of cool. What were you excited to bring back to your district? Because it sounds like just the enormity of Washington, D.C. It's just taking that all in and of itself. I'm sure there's a lot of cool pictures to show, like touristy stuff. But what else were you excited to bring back to your district that you learned?
I wanted to bring back to my board that this is something that we can do. It isn't like, even though like you always, the job of the board you always think of is we come to the monthly board meetings and we vote on the budget or a new policy, and that's about it, which are very important things, but we can also do other things. And that's what I was kind of like hoping to bring back to them is, man, we're not just board members. We are, like I said, elected officials, and we can go and talk to other elected officials, these legislators here, and make a difference. If we want to have something done in our district, we can do that. And so I just wanted the excitement that I got to come back to them. And I actually wrote up a report for it. I gave one to Mary Ellen, which is now on the IASB website, which is very cool that people can see. You can just hear my excitement in that report. And it's the same one I gave to my board. And then at a recent, back in October, the Lake Division dinner, Mark Temper, the director, came up to me and he said, can I have a copy of your report? I'd love to send it out to all the other boards around the area. And so they'll know, and if they want to do this next time. And so it's really gotten out there, which has really been great. And it's just, I think, ever since the pandemic, board members always felt that it's a thankless job. We're getting yelled at for everything. They want us out and stuff. And now it's, I want to let everybody know that you can make a difference. You can do something as a board member. Yeah,
this is not all for nothing, that you're making a definite impact, no matter how big or small. It does make a significant difference. And this is showing the big ripple effect too. It's just your presence in Washington, D.C. has gotten a name on another piece of legislation, and bringing it back. And now your write-ups being sent out across the state is so cool to see that it's just the small things that can really make this butterfly effect a huge difference.
Definitely. It can make anything from just doing a resolution for that's on your agenda to make a little difference in your district, to a bigger resolution, writing one for like the delegate assembly, to a trip like DC and actually talking to the legislator.
Absolutely. Mary Ellen, what were you excited to bring back to IASB as an IASB staffer?
Right. From a different perspective, at IASB, we are all about member engagement. And this was one way to do that. Isaac, you and I have talked about advocacy and the Advocacy Ambassador Program. And on the night that we had the dinner with our Illinois delegation, we asked all of them to sign up as ambassadors. And I think pretty much all of them did. So, this took them to DC, but to bring it back to the local level, people like Shawn, who said he wanted to do more, he's exactly what we're looking for. He's got that passion to help, to, share his voice and his school district's voice, and to know that our members are that interested in it. That's the type of people that we want for that program. So that's what I was most excited to bring back. So
yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool getting the Advocacy Ambassador Program fleshed out and getting more active members to sign on, especially after being invigorated by such a cool conference. That's like the perfect time to do it.
Right. It was pretty good.
Yeah, good. Any additional closing thoughts about the conference, your takeaways, anything else that you'd like board members to know or anyone to know, really?
Sorry about that. So for me, I think it's really important that members don't look at this as, what am I going to do in DC? Who's going to listen to me? Hearing from Shawn, they do listen to us. They do listen to the members, and it's not a scary event. We were taught and told how to do things, and everything just worked smoothly once we got there. And I hope that members can look at it next year when it comes back and say, I want to do that. I want to bring my district's voice to DC and see what we can do on a federal level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Shawn, what about you?
Yeah, I echo what Mary Ellen's saying. It just shows that we can do something. You can make a difference. Because believe me, that went through my mind the entire 3 days we were there. Will we be able to do anything that we could? That was great. And yeah, just to let other board members know that they can do this too. And there's a lot for us to do as board members to try and make a difference. If you really care about your district and you want your schools to be the best, this is it. And yeah, definitely. I'll be doing this again when it comes up again next year. And it did. It went very smoothly, and it was very exciting.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. Well, Shawn, Mary Ellen, thank you again so much for joining me on this episode of the podcast. Really appreciate the insight, and I'm sure our members do as well. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And thank you for your dedicated volunteer service to public education. If you'd like to stay up to date with future episodes, please consider following us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube Music. Have a comment or question? We welcome listener feedback and invite you to leave us a voicemail via the link in the description or send us a voicemail at communications@iasb.com. Thanks.